Welcome everyone. So we'll be starting. Hello everyone. Hi. So keep joining. We'll be starting with our first talk of this whole channel. So we'll be starting with our talks. So stay tuned. Add all of your friends into this beautiful and yet informative live, which we will be organizing sharp from 7 p.m. featuring some of the greatest and inspiring talents of the country. Right. So it will be a great talk. Everyone will be loving the talk. We'll be starting by 7. So make sure you drop in your question. You ask all the questions from our guest of today. So it is going to be a great, grand live. We'll be starting by 7. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be just starting in a minute and having our first guest for our authors talk. Right. Author talks this evening. So how are you all doing, everyone? You can comment and tell about the future, because we are starting this series of live sessions with the change makers or with the various other talents of the country, right? And our first guest of this evening is Yash Tiwari, and you will be getting to know various insights about the journey, various insights about what he does. A small insight, which is also meant to be posted, that he is international youth mentor. So it's very big, like there are pretty more stars which are attached in his shoulder, and we'll be discussing fruitful 1 hour of conversation with Yash. Stay tuned with your friends, share this live video to all of your friends and ask them to join in the video, and just stay back. Yash will be joining us in a minute and we'll be starting with the bang, right? So that's pretty much about the today's talk. Author talk. Quaish presents author talk, right? And we are bringing more and change making youths, more and more inspiring youths towards you. So if you have any suggestion for the youths whom you wanted to see interact, talk, you can definitely DM me on my personal, right? So I guess we have Yash Tiwari.
Hello, am I audible?
Hi, can you hear me? Am I audible to you?
Definitely. Perfect. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are very much audible and visible right now, Mudit.
Okay, that's it. So, namaste, yes, and welcome to Khwahish Presents Author Talk, exclusive talk where we talk, exclusive talk where we talk by the youth, like change-making youth like you. We talk with the inspiring change makers of today, and that is obviously are the youth of the globalized India. And we share insights, we share lots and lots of insights, we share lots and lots of the fruitful talk in which we help youth to at least get some insight that who the real me is, right? The real me within the youth. So we'll be starting, and without wasting much of your time, we'll be just starting straight away. So tell us about who the real Yash Tiwari is. Like, because we all know that social media, although it predicts about us, our achievements, our all the things, but meanwhile it has some limitations, right? So the audience and including the me wanted to know who the real Yash Tiwari is.
Okay, all right. First of all, thank you so much, Mudit, for such a warm welcome. I feel really excited to be on the platform today. and to be having this wonderful, wonderful interaction with you, which, as you mentioned, is all about the youngsters and all for the youngsters as well. So, if you ask that who the real Yash Tiwari is, apart from the acclaims and awards and titles and novels and TED Talks and whatever it might be that he has done, I would say that the real Yash Tiwari is a 19-year-old guy who is passionate about the voice and the words that he has. This Yash Tiwari is somebody who is willing to use his words and his voice and his potential and all that he has for the greater good of the world, because that is who I am in my core. That is who I strive to be, and that is who I want to be as well. Because at the end of the day, I personally feel that no matter how much talented, no matter how much experienced I might become or I might be, if I am not using it for the greater good of the world or for the society that I'm a part of, or even for the youngsters, the fellow youngsters who look up to me as an inspiration, then all of this will go into vain. So that is who the real Yash Tiwari is. Somebody at the age of 19, willing to use his words and voice for the greater good of the world and for his fellow youngsters and their greater good as well.
That's really great. And coming from a person who is, like you mentioned, just 19 years of age and doing this much, like doing lots and lots of stuff, like I was researching about you. So it was like, wow, wow. Every moment, everything which I read, it was wow, wow. Okay, this, okay, what's next? It was like I was having curiosity. What's next? What's next? So it was like a complete book, a book full of entertainment, a book full of knowledge, a book full of inspiration, right? I won't call motivation, but I will be calling it as inspiration because that really inspired me. So, yes, tell us about something about your like the initial TED Talk, because we all know that you have completed your 6th TED Talk till date, including one. Yeah, yeah, and plus those talk as well. So tell us about the first TED Talk which you took, and what was that motivation, or how did you felt while going into that bigger stage?
All right, sure. Absolutely. I'm always very excited to be talking about the initial part of my journey as the professional youth mentor and the global public speaker that I am right now, because I think the initial part of it all kind of defines me as a person as well. So I very vividly remember my first TED. Yeah, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, perfectly.
All right. Great, great. So yes, as I was saying that I was just 16 years old when I authored my debut novel, that was A Celebration in Tribulation, which I in fact authored within a record time of just 22 days. And it was written about this unheard and unspoken neurological ailment called the CJD, or the Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. And so because of all these things, that there is this 16-year-old guy who has written a book about this unheard neurological ailment, and that too within just 22 days, within a time frame less than 1 month. All of that garnished a lot of international acclaim and a lot of awards for me, even at that young age, even in a very initial phase for me as an author. And so when that happened, I was invited for my first TED Talk, and I was just 16 years old. It was, I think, the month of October or September, I'm not sure about it, but it was somewhere around that in 2018. And then I went on to deliver my first TED Talk when I was just 17 years old. It was February of 2019. I was having my board's examination, by the way. The talk was scheduled right in between of my physics and chemistry board's exam. So you can understand the kind of rush which I was in, the thrill of being on that platform when I was also thinking about the physics examination that I have to give in just a couple of days. But anyway, the talk itself was something that made me realize the potential that I have within myself. It made me realize the direction which I want to take in my life. Because I very clearly remember that when I was on that stage, all of my fellow speakers were in their 80s or 90s, or, they were global change makers or global entrepreneurs or authors or speakers or writers or filmmakers and politicians and who not. And I was just a 17-year-old newcomer in this field, I would say, whether you call it public speaking or literature or whatever it might be. But when I went on the stage and the camera was on me, I understood that it is not about me being 17 years old or 16 years old or them being much elder to me or whatever it might be. It is all about me using my voice and utilizing the next 18 minutes that I have for the TED Talk, which I'm invited to deliver, and using those 18 minutes for changing somebody's life. It was about realizing that every word which I utter in those next 18 minutes can possibly change somebody's life and might even save somebody's life. So I think that was the motivation which kind of blinded me from all the anxiety or nervousness or even the excitement which I was facing, because then it was all about doing my duty. It was all about doing my level best on the platform that I was on. And that is something which is still with me, which stuck with me, because even today, when I am delivering this interview or whenever I'm delivering any international talk or session or workshop around the world in different countries, it is all about me using the time which I have, the platform which I have, for the greater good, as I said, of the society and the world which I am addressing. And that is what I personally believe in and I would say preach about as well.
Okay, so that's really great insight actually from your journey to TED Talk, or I'll be saying your journey towards delivering something constructive to youth, right? Because TED Talk is all about delivering constructive to the youth. So coming towards the next question, and I feel really excited to ask you this question because this pinpoints straight away to the youth. So when we say youth mentor, right, then it is someone who has direct relation with youth, who has direct relation with the budding future entrepreneur, budding future author, budding future whatnot, right? So what is that one problem which you feel that youth of today have or they encounter, which you felt while being a youth mentor?
Okay, so I think the answer to this question is something very clear, because in fact, this is something which I have delivered a TED Talk about, and this is also something which I have, mentioned about countless of times in my previous interviews. And the greatest problem, according to me, that the youngsters of today are facing around the world. This is not just something which the Indian youngsters are facing or only the Western youngsters are facing. This is something which is global and it is common for the youngsters around the world. And it is the fact that the potential or the talent or the experience or the contribution of a youngster is judged based on how young they are. What a person can contribute is in fact judged or is pre-decided, or should I say presumed, based on how young or how old they are. If a certain person is of a certain age, which is, let's say, younger than 18 years or 17 years, then most probably, even if they have something great to offer, they will be second guessed about that. They will be questioned about whether they are even experienced enough to be talking about the subject matter or not. And if a person, once again, on the other side of the coin, if a person, let's say, reaches 80 years of age or 90 years of age, no matter how much respected they are, no matter how much, I would say, praised they are and looked after they are, they would still be judged based on whether they even have what it takes to do something at that age or not. So the fact that even in the modernized world of today, we judge a person's caliber, we judge a person's potential based on their age, based on how many number of years they have lived in this world, startles me to a great degree. Because if I was able to pen down my novel about a neurological ailment at the age of 16, if I have delivered my 6 TED Talks by this age of 19, and I went on to write a book which is all about the coronavirus outbreak, and in fact is the first one based on the COVID-19 outbreak titled Pandemic 2020, then all of these things are not just points that I can brag about. These are the proofs. These are the manifestations of the experience or the caliber which I have at this young age, which proves further that any person, irrespective of how young or how old they might be, can do something great, can do something constructive. So the fact that the youngsters today, even as I said, in the modernized world, are judged based on how young they are is something which I consider as one of the greatest obstruction in their path to success or even growth.
Definitely. That's the harsh truth, I could say, which the youth of today are facing, or they might be not facing, because now we have youth mentors like Yash Tiwari, youth mentors like many others, those who are really working hard. I follow you on Instagram. I check your stories, and you you definitely inspire many youth. You motivate many youth to at least do their part, right? At least do their part for society, or at least do their part for the well-being of any individual or for themselves as well, right? So
Absolutely.
that is the perfect thing. Yeah. So yes, tell us about your world record. Like people dream of getting a world record. People dream of getting internationally recorded. And you, being at such young age of 19 years, you got this opportunity to have a world record. So how it feels while getting a world record, and what labor does it take? Because everyone knows the award, we have award and all of those things.
Hello? Can you? Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, perfect, perfect.
All
Yeah,
right.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, a great question, I must say, because as you mentioned, everybody has this preconceived notion about what a certain award means, but then what goes behind the curtains, what goes on to get that award or to get that acclaim or to get that platform is something which a lot of people kind of either are reluctant about or overlook. So if I have to talk about the records which I have set two international records by the age of 18 last year itself for my second novel, that is Pandemic 2020 Rife of the Virus, which is world's first fiction novel based on the coronavirus outbreak that we are still suffering through right now, that we are still fighting against right now. And for this particular book, which I have authored within a record time of just 30 days, I must mention, in the month of April 2020, I have set an international record at the India Book of Records and the Asia Book of Records for being the youngest author to write a book or write a fictional novel on the coronavirus outbreak, on the COVID-19 pandemic. And if you ask me that what does this award mean for me personally, since that was your question, I believe, then I must say that acclaims or awards or titles like these, of course, they encourage me. I'm going to be very practical over here. I'm not going to be like those people who say that awards do not mean anything. Of course they do. They definitely do, because these are, I would say, the testimony of the fact that yes, what you are doing is change making. What you are doing is inspiring. What you are doing is something that is at least a certain step or a couple of steps higher than what the other people are doing. And that does encourage you. That does give you some sense of invigoration or enthusiasm or energy about what you are doing. So definitely achieving these awards or setting these international records definitely meant a lot for me, especially because I was doing that at such a young age last year at the age of 18. But then at the end of the day, I wouldn't say that they are the most important part of my journey. Because even on the day when I receive a certain award, or even on a day when I deliver a certain international talk, when I go to bed, I am more focused on what I have to do tomorrow. I'm more focused on what comes next, rather than just being, completely blinded or being completely satisfied by all that I have done so far. So it is not just about receiving that award on that certain day and feeling contentment or feeling satisfied and then laying on my couch watching Netflix for the entire month. It doesn't go like that. Even on the days when I receive a certain award, I still have to go back to work. I still have to deliver the workshops. I still have to write yet another chapter of my book, because the work goes on, the life goes on, even when something great happens or even when something horrendous happens. So that is the mantra which I live by, and that is what a certain award means for me.
Okay, that's really great, and that so I could say each and every youth should have something or the other, like the mentality which Yash Tiwari has, and the mentality which he is carrying towards life and towards the award, towards not getting famed but getting to work wholeheartedly, right? Working with full determination, full, yeah.
And then
So being a,
most
yeah,
importantly, I would say remembering as I mentioned, that the life goes on. Even after the greatest of achievements, there is still something greater to strive for. There is still something greater to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's a very, I could say, very nice thought, and not thought because you are living that thing, you are practically applying it. So it's a very practical thing, right? So coming back to the part which I feel is most fascinating and everyone wants or everyone look forward is being an author, right? Being an author is seen as something very prestigious, seeing something which is very much expressive because we express something which is there into our mind, into our heart, into the form of a book. So tell us that in your journey of being an author, what hindrances you face? What hindrances you face or what challenges you face?
All right, all right. Well, the challenges per se have been multiple and of different degrees and of different types, I should say, because there are certain challenges which I faced while writing the book. There were certain challenges which I faced while conceptualizing. There were also certain challenges which I faced even during the publishing process or even after that. But I would say, I mean, I don't think that that is a challenge per se, but it was more like a difficulty which I had to deal with, which was something which I encountered with my latest book, that is Pandemic 2020 Rife of the Virus. And as I mentioned, that this is world's first fiction book on the COVID-19 outbreak, and most importantly, I was writing it in April when the COVID-19 was still rolling out in our country. It was already something quite known and quite effective around the world. It was adversely impacting the various nations around the globe. But for India, it was still something new. We were still getting used to it. And I think it was only the initial part of the lockdown, the first one which we had, the 22 days Janta curfew, if you remember, when I started writing my book. And I remember very clearly that even after I had conceptualized everything, and even after I had already started writing the chapters, every day I had to update the story of my book because coronavirus outbreak, as I said, was still growing. It was growing and growing, and it went on to grow into proportions which even right now I'm quite shocked about. But then during that particular month of April, I remember that at night I was writing the chapters. In day, I was delivering the sessions, and in the afternoon, I was just researching and researching and researching and updating the chapters which I had already written a couple of days back. So it was a chaotic period. I have to say, it was such a chaotic period, and then especially because of the fact that I wasn't writing a very joyful story, right? I was writing about the coronavirus outbreak. And to just give a gist of what the book is all about, so basically I have an aspiring journalist in India, a helpless doctor in US, a poor boy in China, and then a stranded traveler in Italy. All of these commoners in different walks of life in different countries are facing the severities and atrocities of the coronavirus outbreak. That is what my book Pandemic 2020 Rife of the Virus is all about, which, by the way, if you want to read, it is available on Amazon as well as on ebook platforms around the globe. So anyway, coming back to the answer, when I was writing it, as I said, it was a roller coaster ride for me on a psychological level because first of all, it was a negatively, I would say, impacting story. Even as a motivational speaker, even after having the obligation to be optimistic all the time, to research about deaths upon deaths upon deaths around the world every single day and then to pen it down was definitely a huge task. It was something that kind of took a toll on me. So I think that was one of the greatest challenge in regards to the writing which I had to navigate through, but then eventually it was all for good, and I would do it time and again. I would do it 1,000 more times if it means that I get to use my words for paying a tribute to these warriors of COVID-19 or for any other topic that is worth illuminating or that is worth writing. So that would be my answer to your question.
Definitely, definitely, and that's pretty good. And yeah, coming back to the author and coming straight away from the author like you, who has been awarded for twice internationally for the novels. It's so insightful, and I feel that people out there who will be listening to this or who will be watching this video, they'll be getting many insights. Right. So coming back to the fact that many young or budding authors, they really struggle a lot, like because in terms of writing a book, they lack motivation, and once they write the book, then how to market that book, including me. I am also a very budding author, right? The talk which is being organized, it is organized under the banner of Twice, which is my book, which is going to be released on 12th of June. So what advice would you like to give to all the budding authors, including me, that what we should do in order to not set the benchmark of hashtag #1 bestseller, but to at least spread the word about the book, or to at least spread the emotions which our book carries?
Okay, all right. I think that is a great question, because publishing a book, according to me, is only 50% of the task of becoming a remarkable author, because the rest of the 50% is what you do after the book is published, whether it is in the form of the marketing or the promotion, or I would say, just spreading the word about what you have written as much as you can in every event that you go, in every conference that you attend, in every group discussion that you have. That is all what matters equally as much as writing the book or the publishing the book does. So in my personal experience, I think the marketing should be thought about even before you sign a deal for publishing the book itself, because no matter which publisher you are signing the book with, you have to put in your effort in regards to marketing and promotion for sure. Your side of efforts are required there, even if it is a self-publisher or it is a traditional publisher. So the marketing strategy is something that is to be thought about before you go on to sign a deal regarding getting the book published. And then how should it be thought exactly? First of all, you need to be very sure about the kind of audience that you are targeting. You need to be sure about whether you are, let's say, you are willing to approach the younger audiences regarding the book that you have written, or you are willing to approach the elder audiences regarding the book that you have written. Because every age group or every categorization of readers, whether it is, let's say, housewives, or it is teenagers, or it is working professionals, or it is entrepreneurs, or it is fiction lovers, or whatever the categorization or the genre might be, every category of audience has different, I would say, different wants when it comes to the kind of content that they read. And then at the end of the day, because different category of people have different desires psychologically regarding the book that you are writing or that they are reading, the marketing strategy has to be different as well. Like, for example, you cannot expect that a medical journal can be marketed in the same way in which a John Green fiction novel about love triangles would be marketed, right? It would be quite foolish to even think that that is even possible. So the differentiation, or should I say the multiplicity of the audience categorizations, or the multiplicity of the genres that we have regarding the book, is something that is needed to be thought about in regards to the marketing of the book, or in regards to the promotion activities, because different section of readers require different types of promotion, different types of awareness, different types of marketing tools or posts or Instagram stories or live interviews or whatever it might be for you. So I think that is perhaps one of the most important thing that a person needs to remember in regards to the conceptualization of the marketing strategy of your book. And I know that the session can go on and on for hours upon hours if we go to discuss about the marketing or the promotion, because this is quite a diverse topic to be talking about, if you ask me. But then if you ask the one thing which according to me is the most important one, then that definitely is the multiplicity of the reader base, or the categorizations of the reader base that we have, according to which you need to decide the appropriate marketing strategy for the appropriate reader base that you wish to approach. So that would be my 2 cents on this topic.
Okay. So I guess that will be very helpful for all the budding authors, and including me, who will be definitely getting some sort of insight or getting something from what you clearly told about marketing and promotion. So mental health, right? So we saw in your Instagram profile that you wrote mental health awareness advocate. So what do you think, or what are your stands at this point of time, where the whole of the youth are in their homes, they are packed into their homes? So mental health is being at a very painful stage, right? Every youth is facing some sort of mental issues, either not mental issues, so some sort of disturbances in their life or being at home. So what would be your suggestion or your take on that?
Okay. I think this is yet another important question that you have thrown my way during this interview, because mental health is a topic which is not of relevance only during a lockdown or only during a difficult time, but it is something that a person needs to be considerate about, needs to be mindful about at every stage of their life. Like, even when you are in a joyous state, there might be psychological hindrances or anxieties or distress which might not be able to, let you be happy even during the happy times. So the mental health is a topic, or should I say the psychological well-being of person is a topic that is something, as I said, which a person needs to be considerate about and be mindful about at every stage of their life. Now, the one thing which, according to me, compromises the mental health or the psychological well-being of the youngsters in particular the most is the fact that the youngsters are more focused on the external world out there rather than the internal world that they have within their own selves. It is always about whether that friend of mine is judging me or not, whether that, I would say, that teacher of mine is going to acclaim me or appraise me or not, whether I am surrounded by peer pressure or not, whether I am living up to the expectations or not, whether I am living up to the role that is assigned to me in this world or not. It is all about completing your education by 18 in school, then completing your degree by 25, then getting a job by 30, which is of at least 50,000 or 60,000 per month, then at least having a family of 4 by the age of 35. This is the kind of stereotypical societal structure that is thrown towards the youngsters in our country and even all around the world in some way, I would say, because of which they are not able to think beyond that. It becomes, I would say, the psychology of the youngsters. It becomes only and only about whether I am living up to that standard or not, whether my pretentious self is good enough or interesting enough or intriguing enough or inspiring enough or good looking enough, or let's say, just enough or not. And because you are only and only focused about whether you are enough for the external world out there or not, internally you start losing or you start compromising all your strengths, all your capacities, all your caliber, all your potentials, and all that you have within your own self. Because, of course, as I said, everything becomes about what you have externally, right? It is all about the external pretentious show which you are presenting to be at par, to be enough for the world out there. It is not about who you are internally. It is not about what you have internally. So internally, everything that you have also starts fading away because you start losing the importance of it as well. You start forgetting about it as well. And then slowly and gradually, because your mind is always and always focused in that external direction, and you start losing all the internal strengths, psychologically also your mind gets weaker, your strengths get weaker, anxiety comes in, depression comes in, distress comes in, tension comes in, and these negative forces replace the psychological strength that you earlier had, which you were reluctant about, which you overlooked, and which you let fade away just because you were more focused on the external world rather than the internal world. So I would say that that is the greatest reason why the youngsters in our country especially face so much of psychological tension or distress or depression or anxiety, and why there is such a stagnant rise in the number of mental health concerns amongst the youngsters in our country especially, even in the past 1 year. And that is one thing which I also personally encourage and guide the youngsters about looking at and taking care of, focusing more on what you have within and who you are as a person. Like you asked in the beginning of the session today, that you do not want to know about what all Yash Tiwari has achieved. You want to know who Yash Tiwari is as a person. So focus more on that, concentrate more on that, rather than all the trophies which you are filling your trophy shelf or bookshelf with. That would be my 2 cents on this question.
Definitely, definitely. And youth of today, and when we combine youth and mental health, so that's pretty much concerning because since we all know, and I am saying from the starting of the session that youth are the pillars of the society, and
Absolutely.
we don't want our pillars to be weak anyway, like mentally, physically, emotionally. And if they are weak, So we have mental health awareness advocates like Yash Tiwari and pretty all the other people who are always there helping the youth and helping to channelize their sources. So yes, if any youth wanted to connect with you for help, so how can he do so? Can
All
you
right.
please share with us?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is something which I share in all of my interviews and sessions as well, because I think that being an international youth mentor, a public speaker, and most importantly, a mental health awareness advocate, it is my duty to help as many people as I can in regards to their psychological well being or whatever confusions they might be facing as a youngster. So, in case you have any sort of such confusions or, queries or conundrums on a psychological level that you just want to discuss about, or even if you do not have any confusions but you simply want to talk with somebody, you are in need to just have a conversation with a buddy, with a friend, with a person, you can freely reach out to me on, of course, my Instagram handle, that is Yash Tiwari Speaks, as you can see in this Instagram live right now. And also Yash Tiwari Speaks on all the social networking platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and all the other social networking platforms. I'm not even sure what all platforms I have an account on, but you can freely reach out to me. And then apart from that, you can also reach out to me through my website, that is www.yashtiwari.org, yashtiwari.org, and you can reach out, connect, have a conversation, try to clear out your mind, and I will be more than happy to connect with you and interact with you. And in the same way, you can also read my book, that is Pandemic 2020 Rife of the Virus, through my website, that is www.yashtiwari.org, where you will find all the relevant links to purchase your copy of the novel.
Definitely, definitely. So all the youths out there who are facing or who will be facing something or the other in the near future, and you need someone who could guide you, mentor you, who could career counsel you as well. So you are definitely, you have definitely the right person, and he is someone known as Yash Tiwari, right? And yes, also when I was reading about you, I clearly could see that you break that taboo that age is just number wala concept. You break that thing, right? Because you being teenager, society says that teenager ho, padhai pe dhyan do, all of those things, and you breaking that stigma, breaking that career mule aspect, and doing things for society, doing things for introspecting, for exploring, for doing wellness to yourself, wellness to the community, to the society, right? So what and I also like saw you in the Rex Karamveer Chakra Award, the global leaders fellowship one in the IIT Delhi. So can you please share your experience about how you like went into the Rex Karamveer Award and what all you faced there?
Yeah, sure.
Short something, yeah.
Absolutely. So I was nominated for the Rex Karmaveer Chakra Award and the Global Young Leader Fellowship, which is by iCongo in association with the United Nations, back in 2019. Yeah, it was 2019. And I was just 17 years old, and it was, of course, it is a global level recognition and a global level award, especially since it is in collaboration with the United Nations. So definitely it meant a lot. And then to be invited to IIT Delhi to be felicitated with the coveted title, with the coveted award, also meant a lot to me. But then most importantly, I would say, as I say for all my awards and acclaims and titles, what meant to me the most was the fact that my works are getting the recognition. What meant to me the most was the fact that all that I am doing is not going into vain. All the talks that I'm delivering or all the novels that I'm writing, they are not going into vain. They are actually creating a social impact. They are creating a ripple effect in the lives of the people around the world and not just here in India. So that is what that particular award meant to me. And of course, being on the platform and being on the stage of IIT Delhi, delivering a small talk as well, if I remember correctly, all of that was pretty exciting. And interacting with and connecting with the fellow awardees and the organizers also was quite exciting. But overall, what meant the most was the fact that recognition was there, acclaim was there, appreciation was there, and as I say, that enthusiasm about what I am doing was there, and it still is there, and it always will be there.
Definitely, definitely. And if I could say so, through this platform, we'll be giving you our name as we give to each and every change maker. So
Sure.
we'll be giving you the name of Unstoppable Yash Tiwari, because we could definitely sense your vibe and we could definitely see that you are unstoppable, right? You are doing so much and adding so much value into yourself, into the community, society, and India as well, because a world record, since you have that, adds value to the country at large. So from this platform, I would like to personally give you the title of Unstoppable Yash Tiwari, and that will be very justice to the fact, right? The unstoppable is the justice to yourself and to your things. So yes, I guess this was very much interactive talk, and I would really love if you could share your insights of today coming to our talk, what you felt and what you like, some sort of views or reviews about our platform.
Sure, sure, absolutely. So first of all, thank you so much for such a brilliant and such a heartwarming title. Being Unstoppable Yash Tiwari, it really does sound great. It has a really good ring to it. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, in regards to the platform, I definitely felt I had a very delightful experience today. I had a great experience interacting with you, conversing with you, and especially because it wasn't just about being interviewed about who I am, but it was more about how the youngsters can do better. What do I guide the youngsters about? What do I wish for the youngsters to do in order to become their better versions or become the best version that they possibly can be? So I guess that interacting and having this brilliant discussion with you about these wonderful topics, about these important subject matters, I should say, was also a delightful experience, and also it was quite memorable as well. So thank you so much, Mudit, for having me. It was great being on the platform, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future and being on the platform once again as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, for all the viewers who are seeing or who will be seeing, so this talk will be live on IGTV. This talk will also be live on the YouTube channel. I'll be sharing the link with all of you, including Yash. And this talk will be exclusively live on all the other podcasts as well, so that all, because see, our mission towards these talks is to reach to at least as much youth as we can, because the ultimate aim is 4.8 million youth.
Yeah.
The ultimate target of ours is reaching to all the possible youths out there to tell them that you are real, right? Every youth who is there, they are real, and they just need to know the real worth. They just need to know the real mean themselves, right? So this was about that talk. Yeah, and this talk is presented by Twice. It is a book written exclusively by me. I can